On the other hand, I realized after that these websites almost never go down. So it seems like Fastly isn't doing so bad. Joining us to explain what happened is Window Snyder. She is the founder and CEO of Thistle Technologies now. She was formerly the chief security officer for Fastly. So, Window, thanks very much for joining us. Can you tell us what happened? Do you know?
Well, as they said, it's a service configuration issue, and thankfully not a security issue.
What does that mean? I mean, did someone just push the wrong button? Is it something that could happen again? Is it something that happens on a regular basis?
For Fastly, not that often, but the really critical thing is when these sorts of things happen, how do folks respond? And so seeing how Fastly got their customers up, sent their notifications out, and the way they do retrospectives after these issues so they can show what's, how it happened and why it's not going to happen that way again. That's the sort of thing that gives me confidence in a vendor of any sort, because we are so interrelated and interdependent, not just in the cloud, but through all of our technology stacks.
I mean, it's interesting, Matt, as Matt notes, it's rare, and therefore we can say Fastly's not doing too badly. You wouldn't say that about a plane crash. We keep it in context, of course, but do we have enough redundancy in general? Is there enough kind of fail-safe systems on what we once might have considered to be, somebody online shopping or surfing the web, and now we understand is critical to our economic ongoing well-being? Do we need more work done to back up the backups?
As an entire industry, we do need to spend more time making sure that the foundational technologies that we rely on are delivering the security resilience that's appropriate to the security threats that we're up against. And the set of technologies that we incorporate, whether it's at the cloud level or if it's at the device level, it's growing in complexity. And so the number of technologies that we need to all deliver a high degree of security resilience is outgrowing our ability as an industry to deliver it.
So what needs to happen? I mean, I've been reading stories about, for example, the company that runs Kraken, the crypto exchange, has such incredibly high security that they make 8-year-olds sign NDAs when they go to company picnics. That seems like overkill to some extent, but is it necessary for companies like Fastly that are responsible for so much in terms of the internet economy?
Well, the NDA is relying on the individual holding up their end of it, and the 8-year-old is only as reliable as they can be. But the things that make us more resilient, more reliable, are the systems that we build that reduce complexity, that reduce attack surface, that deliver the foundational technologies in a reliable way, so that we are not open to every possible mistake. I really appreciate the way that Fastly handles these kinds of problems, but not everyone is so graceful when these kinds of things happen. I mean, we're back up, and on the West Coast, a lot of folks, barely even noticed anything happened. But getting back up to a known good state, that's really critical. That's a critical part of delivery.
So, I mean, obviously, there's still a lot of attention on Colonial Pipeline and on the cyber attacks. I think we'll see renewed investment as a result of that attention. But how far are we from optimal when it comes to protecting against those intentional bad acts, not these unintentional ones?
We're pretty far from where we need to be. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and consistency is difficult. So even as an industry, if we know what needs to be done, it's not being delivered consistently across all the areas that we're vulnerable. And I think there are a lot of different industries that are waking up and realizing that this is actually critical to their business, and that the investment that they've made up to this point is insufficient to the threat, and are trying to scramble now and figure out, how do I get to a 2021 level of resiliency, given that I haven't made that investment, as we've grown in complexity in terms of how we've implemented all of our technology. And that's true for both the IT side, but it's also increasingly true of the products that they deliver, which have more and more technology components themselves.